this is Numeric Citizen here. In today's video, what's new in Craft version 2.7.4, whiteboards, and a game changer tweak. In recent days, I had the opportunity to test the upcoming whiteboards feature coming to Craft at the same time as this video actually. This is a 1.0 version of whiteboards, but it's still marked as a beta release. It's coming to the Mac version, to the iPad and the iPhone. It's a collaborative feature where it means that people can collaborate on the same diagram or on the same whiteboard. While testing this feature, I was thinking about Apple Freeform because I see a lot of visual similarities with Freeform, but I would say that Craft version is not as complete as Freeform, but it is certainly a solid addition as a first iteration of the whiteboard feature. And I would expect the Craft team to iterate as fast as they can on this feature so that it becomes more stable and more complete in its feature set. Let's see the whiteboards in action. You can insert whiteboards using this sidebar here, and it will create a new empty whiteboard. I'll delete that one. You can also use the this command line here where you can insert a whiteboard like that. So what you do is double click on the block, which is containing the actual whiteboard, and you have the option at the bottom here, and at the top right there is a style option where you can change the background of this whiteboard, and also there is this smart align setting which helps align the content of the objects within the whiteboard. So I like to use that option. And so here you have the way to select an object. Click on that, you select it, and then you can change the styling of this object. There's always the small, medium, large, and extra large setting. Depending on which object you are actually using or selecting, this will mean a different thing. Like for a form like that, if you select extra large, then you will see the actual pen to be much larger. Again, if I select this object and I go to the small, and then you will see a much thinner line to be used. You can use this here as you move around in the whiteboard, and you can here select an object that you want to insert, and if you go from there, the shape that is going to be created as you draw on the whiteboard will be the one that is currently selected. Here it's a square, so I can create a square like that, position it where I want it to be. You might see that once I created an object, the tool selection reverts to the select option. I would prefer to keep the same tool to be selected so that I don't have to go back at the bottom each time I want to create a new object. This might be a matter of personal preference, but this is something that I would like to see in the future improvement. As you can see, you can also type the keyboard equivalent, which is R, to select that, and then I can again select a new type of object like the star here, and I'll draw a star. You can use the shift key to constrain the sizing of the actual object that you are selecting. One thing to note is that if I click on that, usually on a drawing application or software, you type on the keyboard, and the software usually understands that you want to insert text within the shape. If I do that here, it doesn't work. The keyboard keyboard keys that you will type will actually might trigger one of the tools at the bottom because of the keyboard shortcut. So this is again a matter of maybe an improvement to see in the future. And this is a collaborative object. As you type or make change to the content of the whiteboard, here on my left, I have the iPad open to the same page in the same whiteboard. And I am, as soon as I change something on this here, I can see the actual change in near real time on the iPad. And I think it's pretty cool to be able to see that in action. And my guess, I did not test the this whiteboard feature with other people, but my guess is that they would see the change to appear in near real time also. So again, if I go on the next type of object that I can create is a sticky note. If I click on that and I type a sticky note, you cannot change the size of the sticky note. It's always the same size. And this is, I think it's the same thing for Freeform. So this is a sticky note. And as you can see, you can change the styling of the text here. You can change the type of font that you want to use. Those are the ones that are being available. They're different than the one that you can get from within a craft document, but this is the intended behavior. They want to have a different set of fonts available for the whiteboards. So that's for the sticky note. And as you can see here, if I right click on that, I can duplicate the sticky note. I can also reorder, bring to front, send to back like this. And I can also, if I select more than one, I can group them. So now I can change that as I wish. And also if I ungroup that, click on that, I can copy and paste, I can export as a PNG, I can export as a CSVG and a PNG, can select all. So it's a pretty complete experience if you ask me for a beta version of the whiteboard. As you can see here, there's an arrow where you can use the middle of this middle handle where you can change the curve. And I like this a lot because it brings more flexibility to the diagramming option. And you can change also the anchor point where you want this to stick. So this is, again, something that I really like. So you can change that as you want. And if I let this arrow selected, I can change to use a dashed version and a dotted version of this. I can change also the color to make it red. So it's a pretty nice implementation, I would say, of this diagramming tool. As you can see here, those are two different objects. So I need to shift click on that and this one, or right click and group and next, and then I can move that around as I want. Can change this, and you see the content of the little cloud will also change accordingly to my resizing of the object. So it's pretty nice, it's pretty great. You can change here I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can zoom to fit. And then when I'm done, I can click on this here to go back to the document containing this, and after a while, it will update the content of the preview. I would say that it's working fine most of the time, but sometimes the preview will be blank. I don't know why it's in beta, but this is why this is still marked as a beta version. Here you can change, you can copy the link to the block, but you cannot change the size of this as you can do on a bookmarks, for example. You can have a small, medium, and large. This one is always using this size. I don't really like the way it is displayed within the document. It seems to be out of its place. I don't know why they kind of changed that, but this is something I would like to maybe change in the future. And if I go to the web version of this, the web version doesn't include yet the preview, so the preview will come soon. I can double click on that and I will see the exact same content of this. And as you can see, I can move things around just like on the native application. You'll notice though that there is a few other options on the web version, which you can use a dot grid, a squared, and then rules if you want to, depending on what you want to do and what you want to achieve. Those options are not available right now on the desktop version and on the iPad version. And the reason for that is they are working to make sure that the performance of the interaction with the content is top notch, but it's not currently possible to do that on the native version of Craft. But here, it's exactly the same experience that you could expect from the desktop version. So I'll go back to the desktop version here, double click on that. And also the other option that we've got is text. I can also use the arrow as I explained. The pencil is interesting. It works very great on the on the web version and also on the desktop version. And if you use the iPad version with the Apple Pencil, it works great. If I want to kind of erase that, I can like that. I can also click on that and click on that and click on that. You see the eraser stay selected between each use, which is not the case to my knowledge with this. So this is something that you have to understand. Also, you can pencil the highlighter if you want to highlight this. And also you can change the size of the highlighter. If I go back to the eraser, click that. So the eraser work at the object level. So you cannot change only at the pixel level, only at the object level. And there's the laser, because as you remember, this is a collaborative tool. So if you want to ask people to look at this right now, they will see that. And this is exactly what I'm seeing um, on the iPad. No, it doesn't work on the iPad. I don't see the highlighter working on the iPad. So it might be a bug, but I don't see that on the iPad. And my guess is that other people would see that uh, eventually. So it's pretty cool. So that's the main functionality of Whiteboards drawing capabilities. I think it's pretty nice. If I go back here, if I go on the tool here, you'll note that there is no, in the table of content of this document, there is no specific line here or node in the table of contents, because I don't know why. Maybe it's on purpose, or maybe it will come later. I would like to have this mark a new node in the table of content, just like for cards or page. So it would be easier to get inside a specific whiteboard when you are navigating a document containing whiteboards. Now the question is how sophisticate the diagrams that you can create in Craft Whiteboards. For example, here I have a Mindnote document open with a very simple diagram, and this type of diagram cannot be done exactly like this. One of the reasons is that here you see there's a few images, icons that are appearing on each node, and you cannot paste images in a Craft whiteboard at the initial release. So you cannot do exactly the same achieve the same visuals here. The other example is with Freeform. This is an example where I am exposing my reading workflow. And this one could be done entirely in Craft whiteboards, because those little here emojis are actually characters, so you can type text. So you can do that. You can also place text over an arrow, so there is no issue there. And also there is no use of what I would say the shadows in the object here, like in Freeform. So no issue there in replicating the same thing. The styling of the arrows would not be the same though, but they would be very close. And also you can create that type of box also with a text within the box, and also a color, but the color of the inside of the box and the pen used to draw the actual contour of the box will be of the same color. This is something that we can do in Freeform, but you can't in Craft current implementation of Whiteboard. So this is something that I could pretty much do within the Craft Whiteboards as of today. Something to know about the whiteboard feature is that you can export the content of a whiteboard as a SVG file and a PNG file. But in my current testing, the PNG file is missing the text contained in the diagram. So if I use the SVG file and I click save right there, you can see that on my SVG file, everything is there as expected, but it's not working right now on the PNG file. Now let's see how it works on the iPad. This is the iPad currently displayed on my screen. So if I take an object here, and what you see on the left is the Craft desktop version. So if I make a change on the iPad, you can see that there's very little lag between the two application, the two instance of Craft. You can scroll there, you can move that thing around, and you see that it's very quick. And I hope that this is exactly the same experience that people using the collaborative feature, if many people are working on that, are getting the same experience. So it's pretty nice. Also, if I go back here, you'll see that the the preview is updated as expected, and the experience is pretty much the same as the desktop version. Double click on it, and I'll open the whiteboard again. The same tools at the bottom that can be seen here. Yeah, so that's pretty much the same, except here, like I said earlier in the video, there's only the background that you can have on the iPad version or the iPhone version because of some performance issues if you are using more complex backgrounds that you can have on the web version of Craft Whiteboards. Now, let's see what's new in Craft. This little tweak that I think is a game changer for a lot of people, and I think many people will be happy to see this change. And so here it is. If you look at a long document, a pretty complex one like this one, and you have a lot of cards, you see that you know that we can use the table of content here and select this one and change to this view and go back to the organized view like this. Now it's much more simple to do exactly the same thing. If you go down below at the bottom of the left sidebar, there's this little account icon here, and you can also flip right there. You can flip like this, and can do a swipe gesture. So it's very nice. It's very cool, and also it applies to the calendar view. If I go on the calendar and look at today, and this is the one edition of my weekly creative summary. I can also change the view here and go to the days. One thing I would like to see in an upcoming release of Craft is the possibility to do another swipe so that I can have the table of content for this specific document that I'm currently seeing there, but it's not possible. But I wish they are listening and they add that in a future release. So it's pretty nice to see this little animation when you can go right there. Again, this is something that I think is a game changer. I think this is exactly what it should have been on day one, but here it is, and I'm happy to see that in Craft. Now, to conclude this What's New video for this release of Craft, there is a good news and the bad news. The good news is that the swipe gesture on the left sidebar is also available on the iPad, as you can see here. So you're looking at the Craft Bible. If I click on that, there's still the little icons there, and I can also use the swipe feature. The bad news is that this is not available on the iPhone, and I think on the iPhone there's a lot of work that needs to be done to kind of fix the Craft Reload release, where there's a lot of things that has been lost in this release of Craft for the iPhone, and I'm guessing that the Craft team is aware of that, and they will be iterating on that also, but it is what it is. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you learned a few things along the way. Thanks for watching until the very end. If you are not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, consider subscribing so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you for being there and see you guys for another one soon. Bye.